Ladies and gentlemen, monsters and maniacs, my name is the Pumpkin Queen, and I want to welcome you all to my castle tonight. Or well, the castle gardens actually. I put up a little fireplace so we can all get cozy while we're here. And I want to wish you all a very happy Spooktober month. And a very happy Halloween while we're at it. And because of the October month, I have a very special story in store for you tonight. So, let's get into it, shall we? Check your candy. Hand over your candy, my mom told me after we got back from trick-or-treating. I reluctantly handed over my sack of candy. The whole neighborhood was in panic mode this year after what happened last year. The memory had all but faded until Halloween was upon us this year. We need to be careful after what happened to Michael last year, she said. I know, Mom, I replied. I still can't believe that something like that happened in our little town, she said, as she was inspecting piece after piece. I wasn't that worried about what happened last year. After all, Michael was the class bully, and after the instant shock wore off, no one in my class really missed him at all. Every year, since I can remember, he had set up a candy tax for everyone in our grade. If you didn't pay up, and give him 10 of your best candy bars, he made your life a living hell. Accidentally spilling the milk over your homework assignments, tripping you in line, and other ways to just make your life suck. The whole class was all excited for our first year without the candy tax. That is, until Dylan told us that now he was going to be collecting the tax. Tommy had told him that nobody was going to pay it to him. Now Tommy is in the hospital with a broken arm. Dylan claimed that he didn't mean to push him down the hill. But the whole class knows what happened. I could feel my pockets vibrate, and that's when I saw the text from Dylan. Don't forget my candy tomorrow, is what it said. It looked like he sent it to everyone in the class who had a phone. Mom had just finished inspecting my candy and handed it back to me. Okay, Han, she said with a smile as she handed my candy back to me. Your candy all looks good. You can have a piece or two, but then we need to get ready for bed. Okay, Mom, I said as I grabbed my candy from her and kissed her on the cheek. I'm going to get ready for bed, and I'll have one. I took my candy from my mom and went upstairs in my room. I changed out of my costume and started sorting through the candy to figure out what pieces I was going to use to candy tax. After I picked out 10 pieces, I put the rest of the candy back in the bag. I really hope Dylan is as dumb as Michael was, I thought to myself as I slid a razor blade into the big Tootsie Roll that I had selected for Dylan. The biggest pumpkin patch. Halloween is the best holiday of the year. No, not because the sweets and the costumes. The outfits some people come up with really are something. But because of the excitement. Everyone is anticipating the coming holidays. No one more so than yours truly. You see, I'm a pumpkin farmer. It's a sort of family tradition at this point. Each generation has improved and upgraded the business, making it grow bigger and better every time. This year, it's my go. I've spent at least 2 years on this plan now, and it's going to make the biggest, best pumpkin patch you'll ever see. You'll see, my invention is a seed, but just not any seed. I've made them so that all they need to grow is a little soil, and they'll be growing faster than wheat and manna. My pumpkins will be the best in town. No one will stand a chance. Currently it's Halloween night, and I'm waiting to try out my babies. That is what they are at this point. I have spent so long loving and nurturing them. I wait in my house for the first visit to arrive. I hit the doorbell and I go to open the door. I'm met by a lone girl, about 16 or 17, dressed in a short cheerleader dress, covered in blood. Fake, I know real blood when I see it. And currently trying to hide the cigarette she was smoking. "Trick or treat," she says, looking completely bored out of her mind. I'll smile at her, but she doesn't react, instead holding out her hand, obviously gesturing for sweets. My smile doesn't falter as I give her a single chocolate piece, nor when she huffs in annoyance and struts down my garden path, stopping only to flick her half-lit cigarette into my flower bed and eat the chocolate piece I gave her. It doesn't even falter when she starts to choke and turns into horror and confusion, showing the large pumpkin-sized lump in her stomach, slowly growing larger and larger with each terrified breath she takes. When she collapsed to the ground, the pumpkin having finally ruptured her stomach and torn through her skin, I'll smile even wider. My babies worked wonderfully. I turn to go back inside my house, but out of the corner of my eye, I see a young boy walking up to the path, candy back in town, completely oblivious to the corpse, just feet away from him, hidden under the sea of vines in an island of a pumpkin, smiling just as happily as I am. It seems I had another walking bag of soil up for grabs. I hold out my chocolate. My babies. Excitement building as I imagine how big this pumpkin patch will be. Halloween really is the best holiday of the year. I had to end things with my boyfriend tonight. We're going to a Halloween party this weekend as Mario and Peach. This was our first Halloween together, so I was really looking forward to presenting ourselves as a cute couple. But when I got home from work, I found Brad shaving his mustache. I had repeatedly told him how it would fit his costume better than the stick-on black felt that came with it. So I asked him what was going on. He told me, "Sorry babe, John from work hooked me up with an inflatable dinosaur costume. It's gonna be sweet." I played a part of the understanding, cool girlfriend and slipped upstairs to change into what I thought would be a nice surprise. I came down as a Catwoman, but instead of an impressed reaction, Brad just smirked. I smiled back and started to ask for his baseball bat to dress up as a club, but he held up his hand and asked, "You just happen to have a backup costume too?" I didn't like the insinuation. I really was planning on going as Peach, but not now with a dinosaur on my arm. I told him, "Of course, Halloween is my favorite holiday. I have a ton of costumes upstairs because I save every one." Then he really tested my calm facade by saying, "Well, then maybe you could pick another one, babe." I asked what was wrong with this one, and he actually said, "Cat, come on, dinosaurs and humans lived 100 million years apart. It would be ridiculous to go together." I breathed a loud sigh as I ran upstairs again to change into a witch. I could live without going as a costume that complemented Brad's. But his response was, "I don't know, Kate, it's a kind of cliché." Fine, whatever. I changed into a sexy angel, but he rolled his eyes at me and told me, "Oh, please, no. I don't want my girlfriend to be known as that kind of girl." Though roughly fed up, I glared at him and asked, "I give up. What do you want me to go as?" Realizing he messed up, Brett backpedaled. "Come on, Kathy. You can go as whatever you want to. You don't have to care about what I think." Frustrated to tears, I ran upstairs and took all my costumes off. He clearly didn't understand how important my appearance was to me. Suddenly, without knocking like he normally did, Brad entered the room saying, "Catherine, babe, calm down." I already planned on ending things with this pompous jerk, but only after the party. His last mistake was taking that decision away from me. Brad froze at my sight of my true form. My many mouths opened in anticipation, but for his sake, I changed into a sexy devil. I strode seductively towards him as Brad stood there paralyzed with fear. So yeah, we're not together anymore. But on the plus side, I finally decided I'm going as Brad this Halloween. Halloween forever. There are only a dozen or more houses in our street, and only 2 of them have families with children. Chuck Murphy has twin boys named Aaron and Brian. They're 7 years old, and creepily well-behaved kids at their age. I imagine at one time there was Mrs. Murphy. She's certainly nowhere to be found now. Then there's us, the Hull family. My wife Bianca and I have a daughter Caprice, who is a 10-year-old bundle of curiosity and intelligence. Our not-so-little girl, who just 6 years ago wanted to be a pink princess for Halloween, is going as a necromancer this year. One hooded cloak, dress, a skull pendant, and dark lipstick later, and she was good to go. She normally went trick-or-treating together. Bianca is working late at emergency veterinarian clinic, and Caprice is more than old enough to walk at the front of the group. So I decide to hang back with Chuck and shoot the shit. His boys' costumes were very well put together. Aaron's wearing a vampire cloak, his hair slit back with what smells like baby oil, and 2 fangs are pierced over his front canines. Brian's wrapped head to toe in tattered gauze, spending his evening as an Egyptian mummy. They receive quite a haul with there being only dozen or so houses on their street. Only weary-footed, sleepy-eyed children trek back to their houses, bulging bags of candy, dragging a bare trail through the dirt and leaves. It wasn't until 7 o'clock in the morning that we hear the screaming. Caprice flies down the stairs from her bedroom, eyes wild with alarm and concern. "What's going on?" she asks, dismissively, running past her mother and out of the front door. "Wait!" I shout, to no avail. Chuck is screaming in agony in his front yard. 2 small broken bodies lay before him. Brian, the smaller of the 2, looks like his body's centuries old. Tattered scraps of discarded gauze flap around his dust-infested face. Aaron's body is charred, still smoldering with acrid-smelling smoke. Holy shit! Chuck! I scream. What the hell happened here? "The costumes!" he wails. "Brian fell asleep in his costume. By the time we tried to take it off this morning, he turned to fucking dust. His blood evaporated right in my hands. Jared!" I kneel down to console him, trying to hide my sickening in my gut from the smell. "Aaron," he continues, "my boy burst into flames the second he went out in the sun. I looked at Caprice and Bianca, mortified and heartbroken. Caprice suddenly steps forward. She places her hands on the dead bodies. Impervious to the heat of Aaron's burning flesh, her eyes turn white and begin to glow. She collapses in exhaustion as Brian's bristled bones rise and fall to the ground. "I tried, Daddy, but it's too late," she sobs. The Pumpkin God. It was a beautiful morning, a crisp and warm Hallows Eve. I checked the time on my watch. 6:30 a.m. Lots to do today, I thought, while putting on some clothes and checking myself out in the mirror. For a 60-year-old man, I didn't look a day over 20. Damn, I'm gorgeous. First things first, a good breakfast. I opened my little seasoning pack and took out the last of the pumpkin seeds and sprinkled some into my coffee and frying pan. The handsome 20-year-old boy in my bed was not going to wake up. No breakfast for him then. These damn youngsters. Breakfast finished, and I go get the bucket from the front room. The rules are the same every year. The leader picks a name at random out of the bucket. So, it's fair Mrs. Lockhart. I'll go out to the garden and grab the wheelbarrow, wheeling it across the street to Mrs. Lockhart's house. It's not far. She was in her 50s, didn't look a day over 22. She had worked in town ever since her built it. Knock and wait. Michael! Hey, Mrs. Lockhart. She greeted me in a morning dress. I see. I was chosen this year by the great leader. She climbed into the wheelbarrow. Praise God! She called. I took my knife and slashed her throat. Her death was instant. As I pushed the burro down Main Street, I passed. David and Frank, the old boys. Mrs. Lockhart this year, I see. This year's sure to be a great harvest. Praise God. Damn, it was hot today. As I reached 2nd Street, I stopped outside the 7-Eleven. Hey Frank, I called into the store. Can I help you? He asked. Hey, it's hot as hell today. Chuck me a soda? The usual, I'm running low. I got Doctor or Rock and Ray? Dr. Fago, thank you. Praise God. I reached the cornfield finally. Hey, I'm here. A scarecrow stepped from the field. He picked up the body. I followed him into the field till we came to a giant pumpkin. The pumpkin opened up and the body was put inside. It closed right after that. The scarecrow gave me a huge bag of seeds and I chanted, Praise God. I loaded the heavy sack onto the wheelbarrow to be shared with the townspeople once I get back to town. A good year this shall be. God is great. Praise the Pumpkin Lord. Thank you all so much for listening to tonight's story. Now I'd like to take a moment to thank all of my Patreons who helped make this channel possible. Thank you, Cool Scout 09 and Lady Nevermore, for all your help and support. You guys are amazing.